All right, welcome back to Inside the Mind's Eye. As I had shared in the last video, I would follow up with my Satori spiritual type mindfulness, awareness, enlightened Taoist Zen comeuppance with you guys. I would share what had happened to me at about 2 years sober. I got to adjust myself to go into this for y'all. I mean, I know I left us at a cliffhanger, so I guess I should give a little bit of backstory leading up into the actual moment. It's weird to say this out loud. The moment of awakening, the moment that forever changed the way I experience myself and the world and reality as a whole. So leading up to that, I'd been sober. One of the dreams that I had when I was going through my detox was when I shared about that, the third day, the hope that it started to experience. One of the dreams I had was to go back to Israel. And I ended up miraculously, at just over a year sober. It was in December. I was sitting in a movie theater watching The Force Awakens, knowing that I had a plane ticket to go to Israel 2 days later. And I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But I bawled like a baby in that movie theater when the credits started to roll. I couldn't believe I was sitting there. I couldn't believe I'd made it. I couldn't believe what had happened to me. A year before I was, I was an addict, and then now the stuff that I'd imagined was possible was occurring, like actually occurring. So I went to Israel, and on that trip, I ended up meeting some soldiers. When you're in Israel, there's soldiers everywhere, and there was soldiers that were with us in our group, and I got pretty close with them. So anyway, so fast forward a little bit. By the way, I've never had any real spiritual background in my life. I was raised Jewish and Christian. I went to synagogue. I went to church. I had a bar mitzvah. My father's side of the family is Jewish. My mother's side is Quaker. And, but growing up, I didn't have any real belief systems. I thought that when you let go of balloons, the balloons went to the Care Bears. I thought that if you dropped your skateboard in the sewer, the Ninja Turtles would get it. That was the extent of my beliefs. I didn't have any real concept of what God was or wasn't, what spirituality was or wasn't. Like synagogue, church, religion, all that stuff was just religious stuff you wear nice clothes for, stuff that you do or you have to do when you'd rather be playing video games. Even studying the Torah and learning Hebrew in Hebrew school, like that was it's just something you did. It's like, it's what was expected of me. So no real belief system, no real spiritual, like even when in early recovery for the first 2 years, when people were talking about the third step, turning your will and your life over to a power greater than yourself, seeking prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God, I didn't understand what people were talking about. And I would share in meetings regularly, what the hell are you guys talking about? Like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. I know that, just not long ago, I was dope sick all the time, and now I'm not. So that's pretty cool. But this God stuff, spirituality stuff, I have no clue what the hell. I don't think there's some special guy watching me. I don't know how to believe. I don't know how to come to believe. I'm just here and I'm not high, and I don't know how that happened. That was basically what I would share in all these meetings. So that gives a little context, a little background. My second year of sobriety, I had found some success in music, and I got invited to go to Israel a second time. And the project that I was working on in this super fancy studio ended up crumbling around me. I was living a dream. I was basically recording in the same areas that Elton John's and Project Pat's and Ludacris's and those types of people were walking in and around me. And I didn't know anything like that would have ever happened to someone like me. And I was there, and I was part of, I was producing and creating things with these people. And it was a dream come true, and the whole experience ended. I was working at a warehouse at the time. So I would work there during the day, and at night we'd go do our recording sessions. And I'd just gotten back from Israel, and I'm cleaning tire molds and sewing. And I take a little bit of a break, and I go look out the warehouse window, and this thought pops in my head. I'm listening to music, and this song is playing, a song called 17 by Youth Lagoon. And I go to my phone and I share it to one of my soldiers in Israel. I send a message over Facebook Messenger of the song, sent it to the group chat, and I press play on it, and I look out the warehouse bay window, and I began to imagine that he was listening to it at the exact same moment that I was. And the music's playing, and I see the trees, and I see birds, and I see movement, and I see motion. And all of a sudden, something happened. This welling from like my lower gut, like I lost all sense of time and space. I felt this immense joy. I saw very clearly as I was looking at these warehouse windows that there was no difference between me, you, anybody that ever had existed, or anybody that ever would exist. That it was all one thing, all one motion, all one expression, and it was alive, and it was living, and it was now, and it was happening. And I don't know if I have words to describe it. I started crying. My knees got wobbly. I had to sit down at the work desk, and I just cried for like 45 minutes straight. And my life has never been the same since. There's this great video by Carl Jung where someone's asking him about, the question is, how do you or do you believe in God? And his response was, I don't, it's a funny question. I don't have to believe. I don't believe. I know. And, yeah, it was interesting because the result of that experience in that moment was a complete eradication of my own ego. There was no me. There just was this. There just was, like, everything just was. There was no separation between me and anything in experience or reality itself. Everything just was. And I came out of it about 45 minutes. And all of a sudden I saw a thought appear in my own head. And it was the first time that I realized that I was thinking, that thoughts were different than me. I was having these thoughts were arising in my own consciousness as distinct entities separate from me. I didn't know what me was. That was another thing. Like, what is me? Like, I started to have all these questions, and everything became infinitely interesting and fascinating. I remember I was on like a lunch date with a girl, like maybe a week or two afterwards, and she's talking to me, and I just was amazed that there was a human being communicating words and symbols through their mouth holes, and I was, and it was like, this is a real life entity that's saying things that I'm understanding. I mean, it was like, I would listen to music. I would sit and just watch. I would watch thoughts appear. I'd write. I was writing constantly. I would start to have thoughts, and I would start to just explore those thoughts through writing. And it was the act of writing itself was infinitely fascinating. That I could write something that could paint some sort of a picture that could communicate something that you could understand, or you could see, or you could almost fully or almost experience. Filming, films, podcasts, all this stuff was just like, wow, we can actually share our eyes. Like, everyone can see through everyone else's eyes. It's crazy. So, it became too much. By about 6 months in, I started asking for it to go away, because it was like, I was so aware all the time, and it was, I just want to go back to sleep. And, yeah. And I eventually did. I eventually like restabilized. And like I said, I didn't know, I wouldn't say that I'd found God in that moment. I don't think that's what happened. I wouldn't say that I could say it was somewhat of a psycho-spiritual experience, but I don't necessarily know that. Like, I didn't know anything. It was only after, like years afterwards, that I started to learn about Tao and Zen and non-duality and meditation. I didn't know that what meditation was, and I didn't know, there was so much stuff I didn't know. I just woke up. And Alan Watts was a huge help because, a little bit later, that was 2 years sober. Like I had alluded to, year 5 of sobriety was the most challenging time of my life. Years 5 to 7 was like dark night of the soul. And it was Alan Watts's voice that kept me afloat for a good bit of that time, because I didn't know how to live. I'd had these experiences. I could see things in a different way, and I didn't know how to integrate it. And I never really learned until after that 5 to 7 period. It was, and that's a story for another time as well. But, yeah, that's what happened to me. That's how I woke up. That was my spiritual experience. That was when I became aware of that there was a difference between the thinking and the thinker. And yeah, I'd love to talk more about like meditation, mindfulness. What is actually meditation? Like that's been something that I could talk forever about. Like it's so simple. It's so easy that you miss it. Like people miss it with all these different ways of meditating or things to do or positions or postures or how to do it. It's like, it's super simple. I'm going to let you do it right now. Just watch what's happening. Watch the next thought that appears. Watch the thing that's listening to my voice. You're meditating. That's it. There's nothing you can do it while you're walking, talking, working, not working, anytime you want. So there. I just saved you countless of courses and hundreds of hours and books. You don't need any of that anymore. If you just practice that, you're meditating. And then the cool part about meditation is like what you begin to see is, and this is, I kind of alluded it to in my last video, but the powerlessness, like the lack of control, and it can be kind of scary when you get into, deeper states of meditative awareness. But when you start to recognize that there really is the thing that I think is me doing the choosing is just, it's just like a solar flare from the sun. It's just a hiccup or a cough or a tilt of the shoulder. It's just something that just happens. Like everything's just happening. And I think I'm deciding, I think I'm doing things, but I'm really just a passenger of this thing we call life. So if any of that is interesting to you all, if you like what you heard, if you want to hear more, if you don't, just like, subscribe, comment, share whatever you want, ask anything you want. I'm happy to answer it. I didn't want to leave us on a cliffhanger after that last video, so I went ahead and recorded this one right afterwards, just so it would be there just in case somebody wanted to watch this. And if it's uploaded, that means somebody did, or I'm just still talking to myself like a crazy person, which is fine too. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment. I'm happy to share more, talk more. I would love to dig into meditation, mindfulness, awareness. I don't have much knowledge, study or educated knowledge. I have experience, and I'm happy to share it. So thank you all for joining in. This has been Inside the Mind's Eye, and I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, morning, evening, or good night, and stay excellent.